On the Solana blockchain, there are a couple of borrow and lending platforms, and I have tested them out, and they seem fine. But there's one I'm going to try and do something just now with. So this is the Solend or Solend platform, of which you can deposit assets and borrow assets and deposit more assets, and you can gain reward tokens, and you can gain interest, and you can all this magic of DeFi. And I'll show you on this if we scroll down. So these are the markets that it has, the things that you can deposit as collateral to take loans out against. You've got your Solana, you've got your USDc, USDT, ETH, BTC, and MSOL, which is your Marinade Sol. So in fact, I'll type that in, Marinade Finance. I'll go to the app there. This is where you can, if you have Solana, you can stake Solana, and then once you've staked Solana, you're given back MSOL, marinated Solana, they call it, which you can then use as a token in further DeFi projects. But I'm just wondering if we can do some borrow and lending yield farming. So on this site, let's see what we can get. So let's look at the numbers that we've got here. I'll try and make this a little bit, making it bigger doesn't help. Okay, at the moment, it's very dark. It's a very dark site. Looking at here. So on my account, I have $483 of something in here. Borrow utilization is at 7%. Let's see if we can max this out. They've got some little charts here with their little white line, 75%, and then the red line is when you're very close to liquidation threshold. So you don't want to get up to there. And I am currently, I've forgotten about this. I have $20 of USDT on the system, and that, because I'm supplying that, if you look over here, it tells you I'm getting 8% APY, but it's not 8% APY of Tether USDT. It's 5.8% of the Tether, but you get an additional 3.1% of the Solend token, so like a reward for using the platform. Okay, that's cool. And if I were to borrow, am I borrowing? I am borrowing. So I'm borrowing and I'm lending at the same time. I forgot I did this. So I borrowed 20, and through the interest rate that has gone up and down throughout the time I've owned it, it's now gone up to $20.13. And the time I deposited the USDT, it's gone to $20.09. So we're talking there's only 4 cents difference between them. Obviously the borrowing rate is higher than the supply rate. However, I'm gaining a reward token, which you'll see up here, which is up here. I'm also getting Marinade tokens. So there's more to it. There's more to it. So I've supplied the USDT, which I actually borrowed. I'm supplying 1 MSOL. So this is what we're going to see if we can play around with here. And I'm also supplying a whole bunch of Ray for radium. 23 radium for that. And the things I've borrowed are the USDT and a teeny tiny bit of MSOL. Just obviously haven't paid that off yet. So here's what I'm going to see what I can do. If I have provided MSOL, so my supply APY is down here at 7.2%. So I'm getting a teeny tiny bit of MSOL return, which is 0.13%. That's nothing. But I'm also getting a 1.58% of Solend reward token, so that's good. And I'm also getting a 5.49% of MNDE rewards, which is Marinade reward token. So if you go into Marinade, their reward token, their MNDE, you get for staking stuff here. So here, I'm wondering if I have deposited 1 MSOL, if I then go and borrow 1 Solana, you'll see here, is this what I want to do? The borrow rate is 6.83%. So after a year, it'd be 1.6 Solana I need to repay, but I will have been gaining 5.12 Solend tokens during that time as well. So if I go borrow, let's click max. Wow. Okay. I'm just going to keep it at 1 because I want to see how much I can leverage my one marinated Sol. So if I borrow 1, and again, what I love is that on the Solana ecosystem, the network fees are very, very cheap. So that is $205. Borrow that. Confirm wallet and confirm transaction in wallet. Okay. So boom. So now down here it will say I'm borrowing 1 Sol. So now if I go, is this right? Is this right? If I go marinate here, brilliant. I've got 1.11 Sol. I had like 0.11 there. If I go here and I go to stake and I go for my 1 Sol, I then get a little bit of marinade Sol, stake. So with that staking, I will be gaining 6.67% APY on what I've just delivered, and I've now got 0.98. So there's a slight difference in the amount that you get, but I can now use that. I can go back here, go to MSOL, supply, MSOL. Yeah, okay, it just took a couple of seconds for it to go through. I'm obviously going too fast. So if I go supply, but before they do that, let's just see. Oh, so I'm quite high up. I'm almost at 50% of my borrow utilization. So let's go supply, max all of it. Supply, confirm transaction, super duper, doing that. So now my net value, let's give it a second to refresh itself, is at 438, and my borrow utilization or my borrow balance is down at 34%. So can I do that again? Can I go borrow more Sol, borrow max? I'm just going to go for 1 again. 1 Sol, borrow 1 Sol, confirm it in transaction, approve, go to marinated Sol, go refresh this in a second. I'll say that on my wallet. Connect wallet. I've now got 1.1. Max for 1. Stake. Done. So now it says I've got 0.98, just like what happened last time. Go back here, and go to my MSOL. Supply. Max. Wait until that refreshes itself. That takes me down to 79%, and this should be fairly stable, because if the price goes up or down, it's still Solana that's being borrowed against itself. It's not if I borrowed like Bitcoin and use that as leverage against Solana, if Bitcoin suddenly goes through the roof, then the cost of the borrowing of that Bitcoin gets so much higher, and if Solana doesn't also go through the roof, then you've got major leverage differences. But here I'm effectively leveraging Solana versus staked Solana, so there shouldn't be much variation going on here. If anything, the variation would be in drops in prices of my Ray, or my USDT is not really going to drop. So yeah, there you go. So with 1 Solana, I've now managed to provide 4 marinated Solanas and borrowed another 3, which in the end should give me a much higher amount of Solend reward tokens. There you go. That is leveraged borrow and lending yield farming on the Solana blockchain with their platform called Solend. There you go. Bye-bye.